we got Rico man here, and I want to just do a little highlight on him. He's been having some really good success, been doing really well on the team, and I wanted to have him just kind of share some of his story and how it's been going. So, Rico, why don't you kind of let people know, like when you started with the team, what it was like, some of the struggle, like the wins and the struggles you went through, and then where you're at now and where you're going. So I know that was like 4 or 5 things, but let's just start with like when you started and how like it went in the first part.
Yeah, so I want to say I joined the team in February of this year. So I've been on the team probably about 10 months now. When I first started, I mean, to be honest, man, my main struggle was I didn't know anything. You know, I was fresh out, just got my license. And honestly, I didn't know the first thing about real estate. You know what I mean? Like you said, you go over the tests and everything and you pass all that. But whenever it comes down to it, it's a lot more to real estate, you know? And I want to say, you know, my main struggle was actually even getting clients, you know? I heard, man, give your card out, you know, everywhere you go, drop your card off, just give it a family member and everything else under the sun. And I can tell you, for me personally, it didn't work for me. You know, like I said, I walk into a restaurant, a lobby or whatever, you know, I put my card down, there's 25 other, you know, real estate agent cards down, realtors, sorry. And, you know, and I'm hoping that maybe somebody pick me and give me a call and nothing was going, you know. And like I said, you know, I was just like, man, let me give it a final shot, you know. And I happened to see Ben's team and everything, and he reached out to me, you know. He called me to the office, you know, we just had a talk, and, you know, he broke the system down to me, you know, and I was like, one of the main things is, you know, I was honest with him. I didn't know the first thing about even getting a client or talking to him, let alone submitting an offer, you know, how even really write a contract, you know.
Right.
And, you know, and with the team, you know, he broke it down. You know, we had the coachings every week, the one-on-one, you know, he would ask me, Rico, what are you struggling with? You know, what you need help with. And even if you know, I'm pride and everything. I'm like, I'm okay with it. I don't need any help. And he just come up with a scenario, you know, ask me how I handle it. You know, and at that time he was doing, I'm like, man, you know, he's not just selling for my BS that I'm giving him. You know what I mean? Like he's actually, you know, going into more debt, you know what I mean, giving me scenarios that I haven't even thought about, you know? So,
yeah,
you know, it made a big difference, you know, even for with the systems and everything, how to call, how to talk to people, what questions to ask them, you know, what depth, you know, what are they looking for? Just things like that, actually getting to know the people and not looking at them more of a transaction, you know, which opened my eyes to, you know, totally different. Because like I said, I'm still new, you know?
Yeah.
And
it took you a little bit to get going. Even when you joined the team and you got in the system, it still took a little bit to get going. So what were some of like your struggles, even being on the team starting out? And then when did you really like start to get it and like the tide turned and you're like, all right, and then you started seeing some deals coming through and all that?
To be truthful, it probably was like, honestly, like my 4th month, you know what I mean? Like I said, the first month you get in there, you're trying to learn the systems and everything, and you're trying to talk to people. And trust and believe, they don't just, you know, first person you call, pick up and say, hey, yeah, sure, I'd love to buy a home with you. You know what I mean? And my main struggle was the consistent. You know, if I call you 5 times in your text message and you don't pick up, I'm like, oh, they don't want to buy a home, you know?
Right.
And that was my main struggle, was just consistently reaching out to people in general, you know?
I think what'd you sell like 2 in your first 3 months? Does that sound about right? 2 in your first 3 months, and then since then, like we've sold like about 20, right? That you've sold.
Correct.
In the 10 months you've been here.
Right. So, like I said, last month was my biggest month. Did a volume of like 1 million, like 300 and something thousand. So, like I said, really good month, you know. So yeah, I mean,
you're having what, 4 closings this month, right? December.
Correct. Yeah.
So we'll be at 20 for the end of the year, or will it be 21 with your one on Monday?
Monday, right?
Okay, so 21 on Monday, and then so we got all that, and really that's kind of like that's what your first real year in real estate looked like, is 20 houses, and it didn't all start off right away. Like you sold 2 in your first 3 months, so a lot of that's been on the back end of it. Is kind of the picture I'm painting, but then. you'll talk a little bit about like what you see for next year, because this is kind of like your first year in real estate, 2021. What do you see for 2022 that you're going to do? And like, just talk to me about like what your outlook's like for all that.
So like I said, for next year, my game plan, my goal, is at least double that,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, now in at 21, next year I'm looking at end at 42, maybe even 50, and it's the
Yep.
process. That's the main thing I learned. Continue the process. Don't look at the overall goal, It's the small things that I was doing, well, it's small things that goes along, and that's what I come to realize. It's a small little detail. It's the constantly reaching out, which I'm going to continue to do because I see that made the most difference out of anything I could say, to be
Yeah.
truthful,
Well, and doing it like on a personal level that you're really good at. You got that relational power that we were talking about, and really focusing in on the relationship side of things, not just the house side of things, like kind of mixing both of them in there, but like not forgetting to reach out on everything. And you've been seeing like these relationships, we're building our database long term. Like you can see the bigger picture of how much better 2022 is going to be now that you have all this knowledge and head start on 2022. It's like February when you started, not only did you not know anything, you didn't have a pipeline going. Because even if I knew this stuff and I knew how to do it, I know it's still going to take me a while to get my pipeline going because of the nature of the business. And so It's like the sooner that you start, the better. So really it's like we're already into January and February right now, even though it's December. Mm-hmm. And so if somebody is thinking like, oh, well, I'll do that in January, February when it slows up, is like, you're already 3 months behind. Like if you're going to join or switch or do something different, do it now. Like this is the time to do it, in the quote unquote slow time, which we're not slow because we have to go, to get the business. So.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying. Like I said, for it to be the slow time is what they say. I had my best month. So it goes to prove that theory, you know what I mean?
Right.
It isn't always true, just because someone says that's what it is, doesn't make that the case. It's about doing what matters, And like you said, Ben, honestly, building rapport, you have to talk to people. You have to get to know them, man. It's a lot more to it because any and everybody you deal with, they have a life, and situations and things they're going through, right? And you have to do what's best for them. You got to see, you can't just look to try to put people in a home if it's not right fit for them. Yep. So, yeah, you got to make sure that you at least have that sit down heart to heart, Tell me what's going on so I can make sure that I'm doing whatever it can to help you, make sure the best situation possible. So
when I remember when we had that meeting and I could see like the light bulb go off in you and like you could feel the difference when like you were really frustrated because you're like, man, I'm not selling houses. I ain't got no houses. Like I haven't put anything up there. And it's like, and I went over it again and you heard me say it before, but you didn't get it until you experienced it, that I kept saying like, focus on the results, you're going to get frustrated. You focus on the process, you're going to get results. I think that's when you really like clicked it over, was that month. I can't remember what month it was, but I remember that conversation that completely like changed your perspective, where it's like, if I just focused on giving good service, helping these people out, how good can I get at this? Even if they don't buy a house or the contract gets canceled, I didn't fail. I'm not a loser. I didn't do wrong. I actually did right there. Even though I'm not making any money, like on that particular deal, like if I just stay faithful to this process, like it'll be there. So
October. It was
October. You remember it. You remember that well.
It was, like I said, it was a month before I had it, yeah, that's what I was saying. Cause man, my outlook was like, what am I doing wrong? And then, like I said, it's not that, man. You got to look at small things. Yeah. And that mindset, when I came out of the meeting, the one-on-one, I did, like I said, because your confidence means the world. And if you lose confidence, it shows in your tone. And if if you don't have confidence, how can you be confident enough to help someone else get into a home? Right. How can you give them good advice if you're not sure of what you're saying? You're not even sure yourself, right? So yeah, that definitely made it was an eye opener, and ever since then it took off. It felt different, Yep.
Well, it's been really cool to see your journey from where you started February to where you're at now, and I'm really excited to see what your 2022 is going to look like, because I have a feeling it's going to be a big year. I think you're going to sell that 40 to 50 houses, like you're saying. So I got full confidence and faith in you, and we're already working on that right now. Yeah. So, but appreciate your time, Rico. If any of you see this and you want to get more in-depth consulting on like our team, EXP, the model, anything like that, shoot me a direct message. Hopefully this has helped you learn a little bit more how to do real estate better. But appreciate you guys watching. We'll talk to you later.